Companies in the legal cannabis market are struggling to make profits and maintain financial viability. Now, that's according to a review of the federal legislation that paved the way for the legal recreational use and sale of the drug. Retailers cite the burden of taxes, markups, fees, and regulatory compliance costs as barriers to the industry's viability. The report says public health experts suggest stricter age limits on who can possess, distribute, and buy cannabis. Well, joining us now to discuss why the cannabis industry is struggling is Dr. Shane Morris of Morris and Associates. Sir, thank you again for your time today.
Thank you for yours.
So let's start with what the state of Canada's cannabis market looks like following legalization in 2018.
Well, unfortunately, I have to say it's pretty bleak, as one reporter reported today on the basis of a new report that has just come out, that the federal government is reviewing the Cannabis Act, and Health Canada's independent review body has issued a What We Heard report, and it is quite bleak and not very healthy from that perspective.
Can you tell us a little bit more about this newly released report, sir? We'd love to hear a little bit more about it.
Well, as part of any new legislation in Canada, the federal government usually takes its time to review the legislation after a certain period of time. The Cannabis Act, which came into force in 2018 and brought about the fruition of the legal recreational cannabis space in Canada, which is now worth about $4.3 billion a year in retail sales, is now under review. And this review is led by a number of independent panelists, and they have just issued a What We Heard report. Essentially, after talking to quite a broad span of people, they have indicated that they've issued this report. While they continue ongoing consultations, this report gives an insight to what they've heard, and unfortunately, it is not very good.
Not good indeed, sir. Now, it's really interesting. If we look at the initial stages of legalization, there were a lot of hopes for this new market. People began investing in cannabis companies. So why was it such an exciting new development back then? And how did we get to this point? It seems all this excitement may have fizzled out.
Well, at the time, it was very difficult to understand the size and scope of the cannabis retail market for recreational legal use in Canada. There hadn't been another federal country of the size of Canada that had actually gone down the road of legalization. So as a result, in 2020, hindsight, of course, we now understand the size of the market, how the market is operating, who are the main players, what customers are looking for, what they don't want. And that all had to go through a birth of a new industry. So unfortunately, it probably hasn't lived up to the hype that certain people had of going into this space. And we saw pretty advanced folks issue reports prior to legalization. You know, we're talking the Deloittes of the world, etc., that were pretty off in relation to what they assessed it could be the market to what is currently the market today. Like I said, it is a robust $4.3 billion retail market. So about 50% of that is wholesale, so $2.2 billion wholesale. And that is just, and it's growing on a fairly steady pace. It has leveled off a little bit, but we're seeing that we're pretty maxed out at retail stores in most jurisdictions and provinces in Canada, with the exception, I would argue, of Quebec, that run their own retail operation at a provincial level. So certainly, I think we probably won't see the huge growth any further. And again, it was probably pre-hype, I would argue, going into this space. But unfortunately, not a lot of people knew what the size of the market was actually going to be.
All right, Dr. Morris, looks like we've got just a quick 45 seconds left here. But in your view, what is the ideal solution to these issues plaguing Canada's cannabis market?
Well, we must look at improving the regulations and improving the industry. First of all, taxes and duties are pretty high on these products. We're looking at a very large percentage of the duty on products that are cannabis going straight to the government. Then we've got wholesale provincial wholesalers taking a huge markup for not a lot of work, I would argue. You're looking at 25 to 29% markups for just wholesaling and moving product from producers to retailers. And then we have the industry that is really a big issue is called data fees, and this is somewhat questionable